I just saved $1,800 on my cable bill, and let me tell you how I did it. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior, where we teach seniors how to understand technology and save money on their cable bill. At Tech for Senior, everyone is a volunteer. We work very hard at producing our videos, and I notice a lot of you who watch many of our videos don't subscribe to the channel. I'd sure appreciate it if you'd subscribe and maybe even give us that like. It really helps the channel move ahead and allows us to continue making great videos for you. Thanks again. Now this video is going to be all about saving money, so you'll want to watch it. I'm going to talk about how you can save money on your cable bill or your internet services package in Canada and the United States. So there's something for both countries. Now these are very challenging economic times for seniors. Seniors often have a limited budget, and if you've been to the grocery store lately, there's nothing limited about the price of groceries going up. So it is so important when we are looking at how to save money, we look at our cable internet services. There are big changes that you can make that will offer some great savings, and you just need to know where to look and how to go about this. That's what I'm going to talk about today in this video. Now, seniors have two disadvantages. The first is often they don't understand the technology. The second is they're very trusting. They just think because they've been with a company for a very long time that the company will do best for them. Both those situations lead to a lot of money being spent. I personally know a friend of mine lives in Ontario. They pay over $300 a month for their cable internet services. They're not even there for 6 months of the year. It's crazy. They could do so much better, but they just don't know where to turn or how to go about it. So let me again emphasize this video. If you want to save money, watch this video. I'm going to explain how to do it. So I'm going to go over the different internet service providers in Canada and the United States. The first one I know everybody's anxious to talk about, of course, is satellite with Starlink and Amazon's new project, Kuiper, that's coming online later this year. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this simply because, well, I think it's a great service, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this. It is a very good service. We don't know how Amazon's going to position this later on as their service comes online, particularly how they'll integrate it with people with Prime accounts. But needless to say, these services are really designed for rural use, people that don't live in large urban centers and don't have the advantages of the many different services available. So you'll find competitively that there are lots of cheaper services in urban areas than satellite internet. But if you're in a rural area and you're having a hard time connecting, go for it. It's fine, but it is going to be more expensive and probably slower speed than you'll be able to get in, as I said, an urban area. So the next service I want to talk about is DSL, or Digital Subscriber Line. It's an older service, it's much slower, and can be costly. It should be mostly avoided unless your internet needs are very minimal. There's two situations you want to be careful of, and the first is purchasing a condo in a building that has its own DSL system purchased and in that building. You may be getting yourself into a trap if your life revolves around internet like mine does. I was surprised to learn that DSL actually is still out there and is used by some internet service providers to provide service internet to your home. Now, this is problematic, and I would really want you to have a serious look at this and look at the competition, because I suspect you're paying a lot of money for a very poor and old service. So DSL requires a lot of thought, and don't get caught up in the, oh, well, I'm just going to keep it because I've always had it. because you're going to be paying a lot of money for something that's really not very good. The next service is, of course, cable. This is a big one. Most people are cutting the cord. And will Comcast have any customers at the end of the year, or will the last person turn out the lights and that will be it? So let me just talk about what cable is in 2024. Now, you've all heard about this cutting the cord and the many people that are leaving cable services and cutting the cord. Now, when we look at cable, you think of a coaxial cable that you'll see in the diagram here. Now, on the other side, you see a fiber optic cable. Now, the coaxial cable has a current running through it. The fiber cable has a light running through it. Quite different technology. And you would all be correct when you say, absolutely, the fiber cable is much faster. So let's look at how cable services are provided. Well, cable services on the pole and the transmission lines are all fiber optic. They move the data by fiber optic, the same as fiber companies, to the telephone pole outside your house. The connection then is made from a coaxial cable that goes from the telephone pole to your house and inside, and it's hooked up to a cable modem, and it's run by a software called DOCSIS. That's how the information is transmitted from the fiber line through the coaxial cable to your house, to the cable modem, and into your computer. All right, let's look at how a company offering fiber works. Well, again, there is fiber to the telephone pole outside your house, but then there's a fiber optic line that moves into the house and is connected to a fiber optic modem. Then this is connected to your computer. We'll be going over the differences between these two in a later video, but I just wanted you to know that that is how the system works. So when we talk about the difference in internet speeds between cable and fiber, it's that coaxial part that goes from the pole to your house that's different. Now, many cable companies, including the existing cable companies such as Cox and Comcast, will offer you fiber to your house. And this is where they will cable a different line from the telephone pole to your house, and that would be a fiber line rather than a cable line. Now, this technology has started up again. In fact, Google Fiber is starting to change and add cities to its map and will be adding fiber connections into different cities in 2024. But this is costly and often involves digging trenches, recabling, going through roads, under people's driveway. There's a lot of physical things that have to be done. The thing that's important to know is that the wireless technology has the capability of exceeding the speed of fiber. Yes. So I'm going to be talking about this in a minute, but 5G technology doesn't need any cabling. It's so simple to do. It's all done wirelessly. So let's talk about 5G technology and where we're going with this. So where you're going to be able to save the most amount of money is looking in the area of 5G technology. Let me explain how this works, but first we have to look a bit at the history. So what is 5G? What is 5G technology? Well, you all know that, of course, we're talking about wireless technology, cell phone technology. You all connect your cell phones, wirelessly to 2G, 3G, 4G, these G things, right? And what has happened in the last 7 years is there's been a new standard that is being developed, and that's called 5G. And I've done a number of videos about the technology behind that. I'm not going to go into that today, but you all understand it's faster than the old system. As you all know, about 5 years ago, all the major networks started to implement 5G technology. This was exciting, and some early adopters got right off the mark really quick. The problem came along with an organization called Five Eyes. You know, eyes like you see? Five Eyes. What are Five Eyes? Well, Five Eyes comprise 5 different countries: Great Britain, Canada, the United States, Australia, and New Zealand. And what this means is these countries share intelligence gathering information amongst themselves. We're very concerned about the company called Huawei. Now, Huawei is one of the largest telecommunication companies in the world that manufacture the technology and hardware. They were the industry leaders in 5G technology. Well, what happened is that there was concerns amongst the Five Eyes countries that this was not a good thing to have their security information going through a company that was owned by China. So what happened was they banned Huawei from providing hardware or software in these 5G in these Five Eyes countries. Now, this created a huge problem because some of those Huawei networks existed in Canada, the United States, and had to be removed at great expense. So what are the challenges now faced by the companies putting in 5G networks in Canada and the United States? Well, the first is that the hardware and software hasn't been invented, developed, discovered, whatever you want to call it. There just isn't the knowledge there that Huawei has. That was the first problem. There is no competition. Huawei was the best. So that put it at a disadvantage. And the second issue is cost. We're talking about enormous costs, billions and billions and billions of dollars that will be spent over the next 10 years converting all our networks into a 5G network. Lots of money involved here. So where is all the money going to come from? Well, the money's going to come from you. Yes. This transition needs to happen quickly because the countries that have the most developed 5G technology in the world today, of course, are China, which is now moving into their 6G technology, and Southeast Asia and India. These are the powerhouses around the world that has the most well-developed 5G and including into 6G networks. That also coincides to, of course, manufacturing. And you need a very advanced 5G network to compete globally in the manufacturing sector. And as can the United States, over the next few years, want to focus more on developing their manufacturing center, particularly with software chips, then this becomes an extremely important service. And the countries really want to make sure that this gets done quickly. So these networks are being built at a rapid pace, but of course, they need funding and money. And that's, of course, where you come in. But of course, this can work in your advantage. So in the United States, we have 3 major networks. Of course, we have AT&T, we have Verizon, and we have T-Mobile. All 3 of these companies are working hard to get their national 5G network completed. So what they need is cash, and they're looking to you to help sign up for their services. And what are they offering? Well, as you know, if you have a cell phone now, you're probably noticing that things are a lot faster. The networks are running really pretty darn quick. So they're able to offer you now a combination of home internet service, a landline, maybe a cellular line, and television service. So all these can be packaged in and offered to you as a bundle. And this is where the competition is really good. So now they know as you're leaving cable, and cable will be gone if it's not this year, next year, as you're leaving cable, they want to sign you up. They want to sign you up really quickly, and the competition in some areas is fierce. So you can get some incredibly good deals. In my case, I had the option of going from a cable service to a fiber service, and I saved $150 a month just with a little bit of work and looking at the options. So if you're going to, so where you can save the biggest amount of money is if you're moving from cable, you should be looking at wireless services and look at those big three for package deals. That is where the big saving is going to occur. Now, you may not say, in my area, it doesn't occur. Maybe you say, oh no, I asked AT&T and it works out about the same as cable. And that may be very true. But the competition is, if you're in a large urban area and all three have competing networks, the competition is amazing on what you're going to get. So remember that's where you want to look. If you're on cable now and you're moving off cable, look for the wireless companies. Go to Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Look for their mobile internet service, and they will bundle it with all those other services, and you may get an extremely good deal. Now, the contract may be for 2 years, but then at the end of 2 years, look at other options that you have. So about a year ago, Rogers Communication, a wireless company, purchased Shaw Cable, a cable company which provided cable for all of Western Canada, west of Winnipeg, all the way to, of course, Vancouver Island, where I live. I had been a cable customer for over 40 years, but with a little bit of work and effort and looking at the competition, I was able to save $1,800 in 1 year on my internet cable phone package. In the image behind me, you'll see two connections to my house. You'll see the old cable connection and the new fiber optic connection. My plan is to capture the special they have for a full 2 years and then maybe go back and look at cable and play the two off one against the other. I have both connections now wired to my house, and it's very easy to simply transfer from one to the other. So if you are on Shaw Cable, I would encourage you to look at TELUS, the fiber company, as a good option, and you probably are going to find some significant cost savings. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the Rogers takeover of a cable company. I suspect in the long term, they'll probably want to convert people over from Shaw's old cable system to their 5G wireless system. This will probably take a number of years, but let's see if I'm right on that one. So the reason for making this video is to say, look at the competition. Go out, explore your options for your communication services. This is a rapidly changing field, and there's opportunity to save a lot of money. And heck, as seniors, we need help, right? So do that. Look at the competition. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a like and subscribe.
From chaos to clarity by optimizing your Windows file system, I'm Hewie Poplock. Keeping your files neat and tidy with these tips for naming and organizing them on Windows. Do you struggle to quickly find a specific file on Windows? One of the reasons could be that you're not naming your files correctly. It's essential to keep in mind specific rules before you begin naming files on Windows. To help you stay organized and prevent you from getting unpleasant surprises, I'm providing a list of important tricks you should know to name files on the operating system. Do not use any punctuation at the start of a file name. You are allowed to use a period and other supported characters like parenthesis, dash, commas, and underscore at the beginning of a file name. However, just because they are supported does not mean you should use them. You should always start your file name with the most important identifiers of the file, such as a date. Remember, when you sort your files by file name, Windows will arrange them in alphabetical/numerical order, so think about how you can take advantage of that when naming files. 2. Do not use specific punctuation marks anywhere in the file name. While you can name a file the way you want, there are some limitations to what characters you can use. Windows operating system does not allow certain characters in file names, which include the less than sign, greater than, the colon, the double quote, the forward slash, the backslash, the vertical bar or pipe, the question mark, or the asterisk. You can use spaces anywhere in the file name, but be mindful that the fact that some software does not recognize files with spaces. Instead of spaces, you can use underscores, dashes, and camel case. An example of camel case are file name together instead of the space between the word file and name. Keep your file name short and snappy. Windows 10 and 11 support up to 260 characters in a file name, meaning you can stuff many details into a file name. However, you should not aim to reach that 260 character limit. Ideally, a file name should not be longer than 35 characters. With all that said, sometimes it might be worth it to keep the file name lengthy. And if you think you benefit more from a long file name than a shorter one, you should not hesitate, but make sure it's unique and consistently structured. Don't use specific reserved words in file names. While naming files in Windows 11 and 10, you should keep in mind that you cannot use certain reserved words in file names. Here are the reserved words: on, PRN, AUX, NUL or null, COM0 through COM9, LPT0 through LPT9. It's also worth noting that the above reserved names, followed by extensions, are also not allowed to be used as file names. For instance, you cannot use null.txt or nul.txt as your file name. File names on Windows are case insensitive. Windows 11 and 10 do not require a correct input of uppercase and lowercase in file names, which means test with a capital T and test with a lowercase t are the same. When you use the same name for a file in the exact location, your PC will notify you that there is already a file with the same name. Your PC will also ask you if you want to rename the file to test followed by a number in the parentheses. It's important to note that you can use the same name in files without numbers in the parentheses as long as they are not in the same location. So, if you want to use the same name in files, you have to keep them in separate locations. Learn how to rename multiple files at once. If you think you were committing all sorts of mistakes while naming files on Windows and now want to fix your mistakes, you can easily batch file names using File Explorer, Command Prompt, or PowerShell. You can also batch rename the file extensions if you think you made mistakes there. You may want to use a third-party batch rename application. You can use emojis in file names to spice things up. One of the coolest ways you can name files on Windows is by choosing emojis instead of words. You can also mix words and emoticons if that works best for you. There is no limitation on using emojis anywhere in the file name. While emojis may not be highly beneficial, they can make file names more expressive if used properly. Include dates in file names to make them more descriptive. You can use dates and file names on Windows. Some of the most common ways to write dates are in the listed formats. However, you cannot use the format with slashes because the / character is not supported in a file name. You can choose any format that suits you the best from the supported ones. But to ensure that you do not struggle with finding the exact file name, you should use the most significant date and time component first. If the year is your most important component, you should use that first. And also be consistent when you're using dates. Ensure your file names include enough context. Different people will likely have different opinions about what makes a suitable file name. But broadly speaking, a good file name is short but descriptive enough to help you quickly understand what's in it. If you have a PC for everyone in your family to use, you also need to name them in such a way that anyone else in your family can understand its content and context. In other words, if you're keeping the files for everyone to see, you should choose something that tells about the content it has. Search for the exact file using search syntax commands. To be able to find the exact file on Windows quickly is not as simple as you think. If you type something in the File Explorer search box, it will show a laundry list of files containing what you just typed. Thus, it makes things difficult for you to find the exact file in File Explorer. For example, if you're looking for a file called Windows.11 and want your PC to show you the exact file instead of a list of files with Windows and 11 in them, you can type name : Windows.11 in the File Explorer search box. This will only show you the exact file you're looking for. Other than the name search syntax, some popular ones include kind, size, and date. If you type size : 54 KB in the File Explorer search bar, it will show you a list of files that are precisely 54 kilobytes in size. Everything by Void Tools is a powerful file search utility for Windows that allows users to quickly locate files and folders by name. It is known for its lightning-fast indexing and search capabilities, able to index over 1 million files in just 1 minute. Everything provides a clean and simple user interface and supports advanced search features like Boolean operators, wildcards, and regular expressions. It can search not only file names, but also file attributes, metadata, and even file contents, though the content search is slower. Everything is a free, lightweight, and portable application that can be installed or run as a service to avoid UAC prompts. Overall, everything is widely praised as one of the best file search tools available for Windows, offering an unparalleled speed and functionality. Get better file names on Windows with these tips. People often ignore the importance of getting file names right on their PCs. But with the tips that I just gave you, you can be a pro at naming files. It will take some time to get used to everything we just shared. And it's certainly worth remembering them because they can make you more productive and certainly help you create a more organized environment in File Explorer or any other third-party file management tool you may be using. From chaos to clarity, optimizing your Windows file system. I'm Hewie Poplock.
Listen up, folks. Nowadays, the biggest threat isn't someone snatching your purse or hot-wiring your car. Nope, it's those pesky online scammers trying to sweet-talk you out of your hard-earned cash, or worse, your dignity. And they're not just using fancy tech tricks. These crooks are masters of manipulation, tugging at your heartstrings like a virtuoso violinist. But don't worry, we've got your back. Let's take a deep dive into the world of emotional scamming and learn how to spot these con artists before they can work their magic. Buckle up, it's going to be a wild ride. The scam that'll make you swoon or cringe. Romance scams are love, the ultimate emotional vulnerability. These scammers will wine and dine you, virtually of course, until you're head over heels. Next thing you know, they're asking for money to cover their ailing grandmother's medical bills, or some other sob story. Spoiler alert, there is no grandmother. Sextortion emails. Talk about a mood killer. These creepy emails claim the scammer has compromising videos of you and demands payment to keep them private. Unless you've been starring in your own homemade films and haven't kept your privates private, it's all bluff and bluster. Don't take the bait. Pig butchering. No, this isn't a cooking class gone wrong. It's a long con where scammers fatten you up with affection before going in for the slaughter, usually by convincing you to invest in some too-good-to-be-true cryptocurrency scheme. Payment scams. You get an email claiming there's an issue with your payment app account. But when you click that handy link, bam! You've just handed your login credentials to a scammer on a silver platter. Missing person scams. These twisted plots start with a fake missing person plea, which people share out of kindness. Then the scammers edit the post to promote an investment scam, piggybacking on all those well-meaning shares. Fake app alerts. You download what looks like a legit app, but surprise, it's actually a Trojan horse designed to swipe your personal info. These scammers are counting on you to trust big app stores a little too much. Here are some tips on how to avoid getting played. Now that you know what you're up against, it's time to arm yourself with some scam dodging skills. Number 1, don't fall for urgency. Scammers want to rush you into making rash decisions. Take a deep breath and think it through. Number 2, if something seems fishy, ask a friend or family member for a second opinion. 2 heads are better than 1, especially when one of them might be getting scammed. Number 3, check those links and email addresses with a fine-toothed comb. One tiny typo could be a big red flag. Number 4, keep your tech up to date with the latest security patches. It's like putting a bouncer at the door of your digital life. Number 5, most importantly, trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't let a silver-tongued scammer charm you out of your senses. So there you have it, folks. With a little knowledge and a healthy dose of skepticism, you can outsmart even the wiliest of emotional scammers. Credit to Avast's original blog post, which prompted this rendition. You'll find their article at the link listed. Stay safe, stay secure, stay vigilant, and keep your wits about you. Investing in a good spam filter while you're at it is also a good idea. Here's to happy and safe scrolling. I'll see you again soon.